Okay, we're recording. Let me show my screen here. Okay, so Module 9, Social Engineering. So we're going to talk about social engineering concepts and phases, explain various social engineering techniques. I thought I had muted that, sorry. There we go. Summarize insider threats, explain in-person is, can't say in-person is, that thingy that starts with I, apparently I can't say it today, on social networking sites, identity theft. I'm just going to say pretending to be people, because apparently I can't say the other word today, and explain social engineering countermeasures. Okay, so what is social engineering? Social engineering is basically the art of convincing people to reveal confidential information. That's a very basic on there. Basically, it's not just convincing people, you're using psychology to convince people. Common targets of social engineering include help desk people, tech support, system admins, etc. It can be anybody. But the more valuable the information is that they have, the more likely they are to be targeted. Social engineers depend on the fact that people are unaware of the valuable information to which they have access. Yes, I did. Have access and are careless about protecting it. The impact of attack on an organization are economic losses, damage of goodwill, loss of privacy. There are dangers of terrorism, lawsuits and arbitration, temporary or even permanent closure. So behaviors vulnerable to attacks. So do you remember me talking about those principles of persuasion? That's where these are in there: authority, intimidation, consensus, scarcity, urgency, familiarity, trust, and greed. So factors that make companies vulnerable to an attack. The biggest one is insufficient security training, unregulated access to information, several different organizational units. On that one, you should also read not just different organizational units, but oftentimes that people have no idea how those organizational units tie together when they have a ton of them. And of course, lack of security policies. So why is social engineering effective? Security policies are as strong as their weakest link, and human behavior is the most susceptible factor. It's difficult to detect social engineering attempts, A, because sometimes you have no idea what they are, and B, because if the user is embarrassed, a lot of the times they flat will not tell you. There is no method that can be applied to ensure complete security from social engineering attacks. There's no specific hardware or software to defend against social engineering attacks. And even if they had one, social engineering is so rapidly evolving that it would just change. So what are the phases of a social engineering attack? So first, you research the target company. You do things like dumpster diving, look at their websites, look and see who their employees are. You can even go on tours of the company. You select a target, identify frustrated employees of the target company as an example on this one. Or if you know for sure from talking to in your research that there is someone that is not well educated in security, then you develop a relationship with the selected employee, and then you exploit that relationship. And in order to do that, you collect, once you've exploited your relationship, you collect whatever sensitive account or financial information or current technologies that you want to. And one thing that is common about this is a lot of times they'll start at an entry level, and then it's cyclic. They'll start at your entry level and then use that person to kind of pivot to higher up the food chain, so to speak. Okay. Techniques. So human-based social engineering. Sensitive information is gathered by interaction. So impersonation, I finally got it once. Phishing, so that is voicemail phishing. So you know those, I think pretty much everyone's gotten those fake, this is the government, or this is the social security and your social ID number is going to be canceled. That's phishing. Eavesdropping, shoulder surfing, dumpster diving, reverse social engineering, piggybacking. So piggybacking and tailgating, they're when you get right up behind someone and get into the building without proper credentials. Nice one, Gwen. Diversion theft, honey traps, baiting and quid pro quo, and elicitation. Computer-based social engineering, sensitive information gathered with the help of computers, phishing, pop-up window attacks, spam mail, instant chat messages, and scareware. Mobile-based social engineering, so sensitive information is gathered with the help of mobile apps. So publishing fake apps or malicious apps, using fake security apps, repackaging legitimate apps, and smishing or SMS phishing. That's where they have your text messages that go out with all the various, that makes me a sad panda. Yes, exactly. So they send out their text messages that have all that in there. So let's go through some of these human-based ones. So impersonation, the attacker pretends to be someone legitimate or an authorized person. So you remember us talking about how a lot of times people just don't check. This is that one. Attackers may impersonate a legitimate or authorized person, either personally or by using a communications medium like phones, email, etc. Impersonation helps attackers to trick a target into revealing sensitive information, the most common human-based social engineering technique. This one, I've seen it in person, over the phone, text, email. I've seen pretty much everything you can imagine. So here are some examples. Posing as a legitimate end user, the attacker gives this information and asks for sensitive information. Hi, this is John from finance. I forgot my password. Can I get it? Yes, I've had people try this when I worked on the help desk. Posing as an important user, the attacker poses as a VIP of a target company. Hi, this is the CFO or the CFO secretary. I'm working on an urgent project and I lost my password. Can you help me out? Then if it's one of these, usually they'll get belligerent to try and use that fear-based, oh, I'm making someone in a position of authority angry. What the easiest way to say is hold, and especially if it's over the phone, basically it's just hold please, and then you go check out their information. A lot of times if you put them on hold, unless they're really persistent, they'll just hang up. Posing as tech support, the attacker poses as tech support staff and requests IDs and passwords. I think it's really funny because I've had someone try to do this to me. Sir, this is Matthew at tech support at the company. We had a system crash here and we are checking for the lost data. Give me your ID and password. Everybody who's ever worked with tech support should know we don't ask you for that stuff like that. No, I have not seen by Telegram. You have indeed found a method I have not seen, or smoke signal. Okay, phishing. Phishing has gotten very complicated. So that's the voice or VoIP phishing. Basically, it's an electronic fraud in which they trick the individuals to reveal information by using voice technologies like your phones. Abusing the over-helpfulness of help desk. Here's some examples. They call the help desk, pretend to be someone in a position of authority. This happened to me multiple times, had people try this, or of relevance, and try to extract sensitive information from the help desk. I'm not going to read the little things here on the bottom. You know, we can read through those. Third-party authorization. The attacker obtains the name of the authorized employee of the target organization who has access to the information they want. Then they place a call to the target organization where the information is stored and claim the employee has requested information to be provided. It's they go through all sorts of lengths depending on what they're after. Tech support, again, the attacker pretends to be tech support and request user ID and password. The other thing that I've seen that's a little more clever even than this, they'll say, hey, I'm tech support. Give me your information and let me remote into your computer. And yes, people fall for that one. Okay, eavesdropping. Basically, this is just unauthorized listening to a conversation or reading of messages, interception of audio, video, or written communications. Can be done using communication channels like telephone lines, email, instant messaging, shoulder surfing. Basically, that's just looking over the shoulder. That's why it's called shoulder surfing. Direct observation techniques, looking over someone's shoulder to get passwords, pins, account numbers, etc. It can also be done from a farther distance with the aid of vision enhancing devices like binoculars. Dumpster diving, it's an oldie but a goodie for a reason. That's why people shred their trash. You look for phone bills, contact information, financial information, mailing lists, operations related information, all sorts of things people throw away. Sometimes people will put very important things on sticky notes and then chuck said sticky note. Reverse social engineering. This is the attacker presents themselves as an authority and the target seeks their advice before or after offering the information the attacker needs. This one's actually pretty fun to watch. Piggybacking, authorized person intentionally or unintentionally allows an unauthorized person to pass through a secure door. Now, I've seen this as a very big problem in Idaho because we're taught to be polite, at least those of us who were raised in Idaho, and holding the door open for someone is considered polite. If you don't know that person, however, and you are going into a secured area, it's actually a breach of security policy. Yeah, yeah. If you're raised in other areas, you know, because, but I have to say, teaching people about piggybacking and tailgating has been difficult for me when you're teaching people that have been raised in areas of smaller communities and things like that, where they're taught, you know, holding the door open for people is considered polite. And those of you who don't are jerks, you know. You have to teach them, you know, maybe, and that person might get hurt, but you can tell them, I'm sorry, it's against policy and I don't know you, you know. Tailgating, they can do this, basically it's like piggybacking, but they'll wear a fake badge and they'll follow the person in through the door. Diversion theft, so the attacker tricks the person responsible for making a genuine delivery in delivering the consignment to a location other than the intended location. Yeah, piggybacking is really irritating, and it's something that I've had. Tailgating and piggybacking, it irritates me. Now that I know more about security over the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years, trying to teach people that, it makes me angry at people who do it now. Okay, the honey trap we've talked about. Attackers target a person inside the company online, pretending to be an attractive person. They then, this is also called catfishing. They then begin a fake online relationship to obtain confidential information about the target company. Baiting, attackers offer end users something alluring in exchange for important information like login details and other sensitive data, or a physical device like a USB flash drive containing malicious files is left in a location where people can easily find it. Quid pro quo. Attackers call numerous random numbers within a company claiming to be from technical support. They offer their service to end users in exchange for confidential data or login credentials. Quid pro quo literally means something for something else. If you've ever done harassment workshops, you've heard the term. It means the same thing. It's just they're using it for a different version here. Elicitation. Attackers extract information from the victim by engaging them in normal and disarming conversation. So those of you that play D&D, they have to have rather high persuasion in order to do this. They have to be charismatic. You can't be someone who has a difficult time and no social skills and be able to pull a solicitation off. Based on the victim's interests, the attacker must work their target for a solicitation approach to extract the relevant information. They have to chat the person up. They usually have to learn about their interests. It's more difficult, but if you're after longer information, sometimes you'll see that. Computer-based social engineering pop-up windows. I hate these. Windows that suddenly pop up while surfing the internet and then ask you for information. Hoax letters, emails that issue warnings to the users about viruses, trojans, or worms that may harm the user's system. Chain letters, emails that offer free, yes, they are still out there, free gifts such as money and software on the condition the users forward the mail to a specific number of people. Instant chat messenger, gathering personal information by chatting with a select user online to get information like birth dates and maiden names, all the security question information. Spam, yay, spam. Irrelevant, unwanted, and unsolicited emails that attempt to collect financial information, social security numbers, network information. The list goes on and on. Scareware. Okay, so scareware is malware that tricks computers users into visiting malware-infested websites or downloading or buying potentially malicious software. Remember me talking about them using fear to override common sense? That is the whole point of scareware. So this is phishing that they're using here. So where we're talking about the illegitimate emails, and then this one has pop-ups that redirect to a fake web page. So a lot of the time, all you really have to do is hover over the top of the link and look at where they're actually sending it to. But most users, I jokingly told people 90% of my job is telling users don't click on that when I was an IT security analyst, and it really is. So teaching them what they can and can't click on, and that if you hover over those links and you can see stuff and the earmarks of what a bad email is, that's how you really get around phishing. Here's some more examples here. Some of them have gotten really good. I've seen some that look like, unless you look really, really closely at them, they look like legit UPS and Amazon emails. These are just examples here. So there are different types of spear phishing, phishing, depending on your target. So spear phishing is a targeted phishing attack aimed at specific individuals or specific groups of individuals. The attacker sends spear phishing messages with specialized social engineered content directed at those people or that small group. Whaling, this is you attack targets that are high profile executives that have access, like CEOs, CFOs, politicians, celebrities, people that have access to either a lot of money or highly valuable information. The attacker tricks them into revealing critical information or critical personal information through email or website spoofing. Farming, the attacker redirects web traffic to a fraudulent website by installing a malicious program on a personal computer server, also known as phishing without a lure, and performed using things like DNS caching and host file modification. And then spimming, it's like spamming, but it exploits instant messaging platforms to flood spam across the networks. Attacker uses bots to harvest instant messaging IDs and then spread spam. Okay, there's also angler phishing, where you create a fake social media account and impersonate an organization's help desk account in order to connect with disgruntled customers by posting fake service links. Then when your victims click on those links, they get malicious software installed on their system. or they get redirected to another site where they have to put in the details. Catfishing attacks. The attacker targets a person on social media platforms and perform identity theft to create a fake social media account. Then the attacker used the fake account for communicating with others via chat to perform cyberbullying. It's not always just that for monetary gain. A lot of times it's related to they pick someone that looks attractive. And this is where those reverse image searches come in handy. And then they try to hit people up for money and things like that through dating apps and things like that. And then there's a deep fake attack. Attackers create false media of a target individual using advanced technologies with AI or machine learning. Attackers perform deep fakes using previously recorded audio and video samples of the target person, then clone those clips. The attackers trick online users into believing they are listening to original clippings, which often request donations. Usually those deep fake attacks are aimed at your people that are much more in the public sphere, like celebrities, people who are going to be have a whole lot of videos and things like that out there for people to get. I suppose you could put an iframe in a deep, well, not in the deep fake. You would put the deep fake in the iframe, other way around. Phishing tools. There's Shellfish. This is a phishing tool used to phish user credentials from various social networking platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And then if you look over on the side, you have a bunch of other phishing tools that you can use. Mobile-based social engineering. You have publishing malicious apps and repackaging legitimate apps. So on the left, we have the publishing malicious apps. Attackers create malicious apps with attractive features and similar names to popular apps and publish them in major app stores. Users download the apps unknowingly and are infected by malware that sends credentials to attackers. What I do when I do a lot of security training is I try to teach people how to look up who the publishers of the apps are, and I teach people about security settings, because those two things really help end run a lot of those. Then repackaging legitimate apps. This is the nice way they do that. The developer creates a gaming app, uploads it to the store. Malicious developer downloads the legit game and repackages it with malware, uploads it to a third-party app store. End user downloads malicious gaming app, sends user credentials to malicious developers. So make sure, you know how they have those, you can have unsigned apps and things like that installed here. Make sure that you're actually downloading from places you know where they're supposed to be going. That helps a lot with that. Fake security applications. I've seen these a lot. So these are they infects the user PC with malware. Attacker uploads malicious application to your app store. Then user logs in to their bank account. A message will appear telling user to download the application to their phone. User downloads the app to the phone, and then they get their credentials stolen from the attacker. All right, insider threats. We've talked about this a little bit, just a little bit. So insider threats are an employee or a trusted person or people with access to critical assets of the organization. An insider attack involves using privileged access to intentionally volatile rules or intentionally violate rules or cause threats of any form to the organization's information or information systems. Such attacks are generally performed by privileged users, disgruntled employees, terminated employees, accident-prone employees, third parties, undertrained staff, etc. Now, there's a nice insider threat stat over here. So in 2002, a majority of companies agree that privileged users, admins, and C-level executives are the most dangerous insider threat actors. basically because they have access to more stuff. So what are the reasons for these? Financial gain, theft of confidential data, revenge, becoming a future competitor, helping a competitor, or public announcement. So what are the types of insider threats? You have a malicious insider. This is a disgruntled or terminated employee who steals data or destroys company networks intentionally by introducing malware to the corporate network. Negligent insider. These are insiders who are uneducated or potentially security threats who simply bypass general security procedures to meet workplace efficiency. Professional insider, harmful insider who use their technical knowledge to identify weaknesses and vulnerabilities in the company's network and sell confidential information to competitors or black market bidders. Compromised insider, an insider with access to critical assets of an organization who is compromised by an outside threat actor. Or there's the always fun accidental insider, inadvertent exposure of data to an external entity by mistyping an email address, sending a valuable business document to an unknown user, or unintentionally clicking on a malicious hyperlink. So why are insider attacks effective? Well, they're easy to launch. Prevention is difficult. It's easy for them to succeed. Employees can easily cover their tracks. Differentiating between harmful actions from employees' regular work is very difficult, and it can go undetected for years, and remediation is usually very expensive. So here are some behavioral indications of possible insider threats. So data exfiltration alerts, missing or modified network logs, changes in network usage patterns, multiple failed login attempts, behavioral or temperamental changes, unusual time and location of access, missing or modified critical data, unauthorized downloading or copying of sensitive data, logging of different user accounts from different systems, temporal changes in revenue or expenditure, unauthorized access to physical assets, increase or decrease in productivity of employee, inconsistent working hours, unusual business activities. So you can see there's just a whole gamut, and these can also be attributed to other factors in a person's life. So it's really difficult to know if these things happen because of something else. Impersonation of social networking sites. So social engineering through impersonation on social networking sites. So what do we do here? There's 4 steps they have over here. Malicious users gather confidential information from social networking sites and create accounts using another person's name. Attacker uses these fraudulent profiles to create large networks of friends and then extract information using social engineering techniques. Attackers attempt to join the target organization's employee groups where personal and company information is shared. Attackers can also use collected information to carry out other forms of social engineering attacks. So they go after organization details, professional details, contacts and connections, and personal details. I have seen this all the time. I have had people that they tend to go after if you have any over a certain age family members. They tend to go after people over the age of 60, 65. They're particularly targeted for social engineering and all sorts of attacks because they're not as educated in that area. So they are the ones that they tend to steal and impersonate a lot on Facebook. So in Facebook, the attacker creates fake user group labeled employees of the target company. Using a false identity, the attacker then proceeds to friend or invite employees to the fake group. Users join the group and provide their credentials such as date of birth, educational employee background, spouses' names, etc. Using details of any of these employees, the attacker can compromise a secured facility to gain access to the building. Attackers scan details in profile pages They use these for spear phishing and impersonation and identity theft as well. Social networking threats to corporate networks. So we have data theft, involuntary data leak, data or targeted attacks, network vulnerabilities, spam and phishing, modification of content, malware propagation, damage to business reputation, infrastructure and maintenance costs, loss of productivity. All right, identity theft. So I also taught a class that had a huge section on identity theft. And as luck would have it, we actually had someone whose son had their identity theft stolen right in the middle of the class. So we got to walk through the whole thing too. Just so you know that there is a whole section on the FCC on how to help with identity theft as well. Identity theft is a crime which an imposter steals your personally identifiable information, like your name, credit card number, social security, or driver's license number, to commit fraud or other crimes. Attackers can use identity theft to impersonate employees of a target organization and physically access facilities. So there are different types. Child identity theft, that is a lot of why COPA was originally brought in. We've talked about that one before, so that parents could have access to and say what could and could not be collected of their children's data, but it also helped them crack down on child identity theft because they were having an epidemic of people going out and harvesting these young kids' names and then putting in things for like credit card applications. And nobody knew about it till these poor kids try to go to college and they're like, no, you've got like $64,000 worth of debt. And they're like, I'm 18. I've never had a credit card in my life. And it turns out someone has stolen their identity when they were like 2. So that's a serious issue. Criminal identity theft, financial identity theft, driver's license identity theft, insurance identity theft, medical identity theft, tax identity theft, identity cloning and concealment, synthetic identity theft, and social security identity theft. So common techniques attackers use to obtain personal information for identity theft: theft of wallets, computers, laptops, cell phones, etc., internet searches, social engineering, dumpster diving and shoulder surfing, phishing, skimming, pretexting, farming, hacking, malware, war driving, and of course, mail theft and rerouting. There are some indicators of identity theft: unfamiliar charges to your credit cards that you don't recognize, no longer receiving credit card, bank, or utility statements, getting calls from debt or credit fraud control departments. On that one, be aware there are also fraudulent versions of those where they say, because I've had this happen to me multiple times, where they're like, hey, your card has been frozen. And I'm like, I don't go to that bank. And it's just someone trying to fish your stuff out for you. So make sure they're legit. Charges for medical treatment or services you never received. No longer receiving electric, gas, water, etc. service bills. All right, countermeasures. So good policies. Do I have a question? Yeah. And a good way is to mess with people when you get them is just start asking them, overwhelming them with questions. A good someone that actually is legit will give you all the answers you need. Most places they get frustrated and hang up on you.
You can also just ask for like the first or last 4 of the card.
Yeah. And a lot of times when they call me, I will actually hang up on them, go find the actual phone number, and then call that back. So that I know that I'm talking to the legitimate people.
When I used to work at Radio Shack, we had phones for sale with real numbers, so we always got those calls. I used to answer, give them stupid cars, or say I'm the coroner's office.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we used to because we had a VoIP system, we used to get all sorts of weird calls over at the district. And we had a guy that was just really, really good at dealing with the fake stuff. So we just started forwarding them all to him after a while. So good policies and procedures are ineffective if they're not taught and if they're not reinforced by employees. After receiving training, employees should sign a statement acknowledging they understand the policies. So part of that is if they sign a statement saying, yes, I understand the policy, and then they violate the policy and you actually have a written out statement of what can happen to them when they violate the policy, you can say, well, why did you sign this statement? Why did you knowingly sign this statement if you didn't actually understand it? So that gives your policies a little more teeth. The main objective of social engineering defense strategies are to create user awareness, robust internal network controls, and secure policies, plans, and processes. So remember how we worked on password policies and stuff? So password policies, periodic password changes, avoiding guessable passwords, account blocking after failed attempts, increased length and complexity of passwords, improving secrecy of passwords. Physical security policies, identification of employees by issuing ID cards, uniforms, or etc. Escorting visitors. This can save a lot of time. I don't know how many times we had to, that I would look up and I'm like, there's some random person wandering around in a secured area when we had someone new. And we had to have a chat with them about, you really need to escort people because they will wander all over the place otherwise. Restrict access to work areas, proper shredding of useless documents, employing security personnel. Defense strategy. So you do those social engineering campaigns, gap analysis, and remediation strategies. Oh my gosh. In a classified space? I actually have someone that told me a very interesting story about, I'm sure those of you that work in the military know that there are some things that are secured and something that are not secured when it comes to like network plugins. And they had a guy that got bounced out because he decided to bring his Xbox in and plug it into the secured section. So, yeah.
I mean, I've seen things like that where like someone will plug. We had I think like 3 or 4 times on active duty. The S6 came in and trashed someone's either phone or iPod or iPad or something because they just plugged the USB into like we had tables that linked all of our secure systems together. Like the tables actually had circuitry in them. And so underneath the tables there was USB ports, Cat5, Cat6 ports, power ports, everything. And instead of just plugging in a power block to the bottom, they would just plug the USB into the table. And the tables are linked to like 30 or 40 systems that are running secret and classified systems. So immediately it flags the port and it flags them, and S6 shows up. All right, walk over. Yep, this is the port. Trace the cable. This is ours now.
Yep.
And then
that's not surprising. Yeah.
And then same thing as Mike. We had I walked in and thankfully the kid so we call it the SCIF, and it's the secure, can't remember what it stands for. It's basically the secure vault where they store all the hard drives and everything. And there's an even more secure area in there where they store all the codes and everything. The guy brought his son into work and didn't want to have someone watch the son, so he took him into the SCIF with him, and then he did a quick hop into what was supposed to be a quick hop into. Then he started talking with the warrant in there into the even more secure section. So his son pulls out his like one of those little mini iPads out of his pocket and was playing games on that. And I walked in and I was like, ooh. And I was like, all right. I banged on their door. I was like, Hey, Chief, you're gonna have to
Something you
do
need to
something
look
about
at.
this.
That's terrible. Yeah, no, that's really bad. But yeah, people don't think before they do stuff like this. Okay, social engineering countermeasures continued. So, train individuals on security policies, implement proper access privileges, presence of proper incident response time, availability of resources only to authorized users. That's what we were just talking about. Scrutinize information, background check and proper termination process, antivirus, anti-phishing defense, implement two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, adopt document change management, and ensure software is regularly updated. So how do you defend against phishing attacks? Education, that's pretty much the huge one there. Educate individuals by conducting phishing campaigns. Those are those fake phishing campaigns where you see how many people fall for it. Enable spam filters that detect emails from suspicious sources. Hover over links to identify where they are pointed to. Check emails for generic salutation, spelling, and grammar mistakes. I don't know how many emails were easily identifiable just with that one right there. Confirm the sender before providing information via email. That's another one. A lot of the times I would see they'd have the front part and then you'd see @Gmail. And that was not our domain. It's like, no, that's not where that goes from. Ensure employees use HTTPS protected websites. Verify profile pictures of a suspicious account by performing reverse image searches. Immediately report social media accounts confirmed to be fake. I've actually had to do this several times, so I'm not surprised they've got it on here. Detecting insider threats, insider risk controls. Insider data risk presents another layer of complexity for security professionals, which requires designing security infrastructure that can efficiently monitor user permissions, access controls, and user actions. Deterrence controls. The security framework must contain safeguards that recommended actions by the employee and IT professionals, separation of duties, assigning privilege, etc. Security professionals can use tools like DLP, which is by semantic, it's data loss prevention, secure trust, data privacy, etc., or IAM, SailPoint, identity, IQ, RSA, secure ID to deter insider threats. There are a lot of spam filters now that also have data loss prevention on there that put filters in so that the outgoing messages are like, hey, this looks like it's got a, they'll throw it in a queue for the admins to look at and be like, this looks like it's got credit card, or hey, this looks like it's got a social security number in it. And you can program those filters in. Detection controls. Security professionals must use a variety of security controls and tools to analyze and detect insider threats. Tools like IDS and IPS, log management, and a SIEM. So, some countermeasures for insider threats: separation and rotation of duties, least privilege, controlled access, logging and auditing. That helps you work your way backwards and find the person if you have a successful attempt. Employee monitoring, legal policies, archiving of critical data. That way, if they get away with something or delete something, you can return it the way it's supposed to be. Employee training on cybersecurity, employee background verification, periodic risk assessments, privileged user monitoring, credential deactivation for terminated employees. Believe it or not, that's something that people have to be reminded of. Even if they are the best employee in the world, sometimes people can get mad over silly things, even if they quit. And if you don't remove their credentials in a timely manner, they can come back and do some pretty harmful things. Identity theft countermeasures. Secure or shred all documents containing private information. Ensure your name is not present in marketers' hit lists. Review your credit card statements regularly and store it securely out of reach of others. Never give any personal information over the phone. Keep your mail secure by emptying the mailbox quickly. Be cautious and verify all requests for personal data. Protect your personal information from being publicized. Do not display or share account contact numbers unless mandatory. Monitor online banking activities regularly. Never list any personal identifiers on social media. How to detect phishing emails. So this one's an example, appears to be from a bank, company, or social networking site and has a generic greeting. So if it looks like it's from an official site but has a generic greeting, that's a red flag. Appears to be from a person listed in your email address book. That could be a flag. Gives sense of urgency or a veiled threat. That is a definite flag. May contain grammatical or spelling mistakes. Can be a flag, or you just have a friend that's a really bad speller. Includes links to spoofed websites. May contain offers that seem too good to be true. That's definitely a red flag. Includes official looking logos and other information taken from legitimate websites. Usually that is also paired with websites that are the incorrect pointers to other websites, and then malicious attachments. Anti-phishing toolbar, Netcraft. Anti-phishing community is a giant neighborhood watch scheme empowering the most alert and most expert members to defend everyone with the community against phishing attacks. And then Fish Tank is a collaborative clearinghouse for data and information about phishing on the internet, and it provides open API for developers and researchers to integrate anti-phishing data into their apps. So those are just some help there. So, common social engineering targets and defense strategies. So these are front office and help desks, tech support and system administrators, perimeter securities, offices, vendors and target organizations, mail rooms. Yes, they really are a big one. Machine rooms or phone closets, that's for your physical access, company executives, and dumpsters. So we've gone through this in a couple of the different slides here, so I'm going to let you read through that one on your own. Social engineering tools. So there's the Social Engineering Toolkit, which is an open source Python-driven tool aimed at pen testing around social engineering. And it looks like it's on Parrot. There's also a couple of other ones over here like Speedfish, GoFish, Kingfisher, and some of the other ones there. And then there's Audit Organization Security for phishing attack using OPHISH. This is a web-based portal to test employees' susceptibility to social engineering attacks. OPHISH is a phishing simulation tool that provides organization with platform to launch phishing simulation campaigns on its employees. There are a lot of different options for this that you can find. This one's just one version of it, and they're really cool. You can set them. I don't know if anyone's actually used one of these. Yes, red fish, blue fish. But
Does
you
that
basically
mean I can just like drop a line in the water during work and start playing? Like I don't have to go in and actually do work. I can just fish.
You know what I mean? So these you can set up anywhere from basic to advanced. And then you can also, what I like about a lot of them is they'll have a response. And it'll say something like, oh, you just fell for a phishing attempt. Here's how, and it'll reroute you to training, which is very nice. Okay. So what did we learn today? Now that your brain's empty of all thought, we did social engineering and all of the different threats that we went through that. Do you guys have any questions? Let me stop sharing here. My brain's always empty. Do you guys have any questions about social engineering or social engineering attacks or techniques, or are you just, there's so much information, you need it to percolate a bit?
Social engineering seems pretty straightforward as far as, like, I get it, there's a ton of ways it's implemented,
Yeah,
but the actual categories themselves seem pretty straightforward.
it basically, it's just people tricking people for information. That's the root cause of it, by using psychology. So, I mean, that's the absolute basic of it. So, I mean, it can get very complicated in the methods, but that's the baseline. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to end the recording right here.